Hi, welcome. Welcome to our
Good morning, everyone.
breakfast. Thank you for joining us.
I'm sorry, say it again?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes, I said thank you for joining us, everybody.
Thank
All
you.
right, so while we wait for a few other people to hop on the call, I thought it'd be a nice way for us to start by me showing you with my two sons. You guys want to say hello?
Hi, my name is James, and I'm gonna help my mom. I'm 9 years old, and I'm gonna help my mom make a smoothie.
Okay.
Hello, I am Grant, and I'm 6 years old, and I'm gonna help my mom and my brother make a smoothie today.
So it's Quarantine Friday, and we're all kind of figuring things out. I've been trying my best to not overeat and snack. So one of the ways I start my morning is with a smoothie, and these young men are going to show us how very quickly we do it. Okay, go for it, guys.
Okay, so first here we're gonna chop up finely a banana.
Okay. Gonna go and add the apples.
Wanna go and add apples?
Okay.
Add the banana.
Okay. Awesome. So just a quick banana, apples. I add a little almond butter. You can use peanut butter. Really, you can use any kind of fruit that you want. I'm doing my best not to turn this into like eat all you want, which I'm sure we're all struggling with in the mornings. I'd like to hear from you guys also. What are your morning choices for breakfast?
I had a smoothie today too.
Yeah, what was in yours?
Banana, cocoa powder, almond milk, almond butter.
Nice. So, So very similar. So
Yeah,
my almond butter, almond milk, banana, apple. I add a little matcha powder. It's good for just like hair and nails, things like that. And that's it. And then we blend. I'm gonna mute while we blend so that way you guys don't hear this very loud noise, and then we'll start.
I have to get on the smoothie kick here. Apparently, that's the way to go. I have some Faye Greek yogurt, and then I put in some blueberries and a banana.
I think everyone else is on mute.
Yes.
Yeah, I have turmeric, pineapple, oatmeal milk, and kale in mine. Didn't get a chance to blend yet. And
Wow,
half a
smoothies
banana.
the way, huh?
Yes, yes.
I have something different every day. One day we have oatmeal, another a bagel.
Oh no, that's not it.
Hey, Patrick.
What?
I suppose I could say that I'm also making a smoothie this morning because I have bananas that are going to go bad. So it's about using up everything you have right now.
Not a dog. No, it's not a dog. It's a hamster.
All right, everybody. So because we have, I think, still it feels like a reasonable number of folks joining us, why don't we do a quick just introduction, say your name, maybe your, if you're comfortable, you can say your child's name and your grade, and maybe share with us one thing that's been great this week, something that's been a win or a celebration. It could have been something personal. It could be something that you've discovered in the space of quarantine. So, Leslie, could we start with you?
Go to the kitchen stuff.
Did you say?
No, he's leaving now. He's just making coffee. Now I'll talk.
All right, maybe I just go ahead. Hi, I'm Jutta. I'm Lena's mom, and I have to say, I mean, it's going pretty smoothly here, and I have to say, I was so impressed what the teachers from all the schools came up with in this really short time to make like regular learning for the kids.
Mhm.
They seem to be doing well. Lena likes her morning Zoom meetings that she has like this too, and I'm doing the same with my firm. So today I had to skip this to be here, but it's doing good, and we just all have to get through this together.
Yeah.
No, I really appreciate the work you guys did. It's I couldn't even believe when I saw the first emails coming in, like what the next now this the first week will be like. So very impressed. Thank you.
I'm gonna reshift. Okay, I'm just reshifting. Go ahead, let's popcorn.
No,
Fill out, introduce yourselves and what's something that's been working. If you're not speaking, if you could keep your microphone on mute.
What's been working for us, my daughter's Jacqueline, she's in the 6th grade. She's become more independent with the work, and it's actually forcing her to read the instructions of the assignments a little bit more clearly and closely, and not just depend on the teacher telling her what to do. And also it's making her more organized.
Okay, great. Anyone else want to share out?
I'm Jesse. I'm Maya's father. Maya has been practicing serving a volleyball in the limited space we have available to us. And she had been in volleyball club and was kind of struggling with the serve, and she's really starting to get the hang of it.
Okay, that's exciting. I'm glad to hear that there's opportunities for physical play. So part of today's goal as we connect in this time will be to share what's working. Obviously, we also want to hear from you things that we could support you with as a school, and then for us as a community of parents to share maybe some ideas, resources, strategies, things that you're doing, including physical play, mental health, anything that you think would help another parent along. So we're going to continue with introductions. If you're new to the call, please feel free to introduce yourself. Hi, Maria. Okay, Maria may have her mic off. Anybody else want to share out?
I can jump in. I'm Beatrice. My daughter is Emma Trujillo. She's in 6th grade. We've been spending a lot more time and we're not at each other's throat.
That's a good thing.
It's a good thing. I mean, not that it's been bad before, but I was a bit anxious. I was a bit anxious last week before they started homeschooling. It was a bit challenging because I was trying to work, my husband was trying to work, and then we were trying to keep them entertained, but it went smoothly. And now that they have work to do, it's like we can still be part of that, but they can engage themselves. And we've been very active. Like Emma, we've been following Emma's gym schedule and activities, and so we've been doing that as a family.
Oh, nice.
And luckily, I mean, well, no, we have a backyard, so we were fortunate to be able to
lucky. That is lucky, and it is fortunate.
Yeah. So we've been able to have space and do things together, and I mean, it's been pretty good. Like we've been okay.
Good. So maybe we can shift now to those kinds of practices. Some of you are in homes, and it is actually incredibly fortunate to be in a home. I feel lucky that we have a house with a backyard, because now that feels like a gift. Just being able to come outside. But if you are in an apartment, you can still find ways to get outside every day. I do deeply believe in getting sunshine, getting fresh air, even if it's walking around the block, keeping social distancing, but balancing that sort of mental space with the cabin fever. I know Jesse mentioned they're following James's gym schedule. Does anyone else, are you doing anything related to physical exercise with your kids that you want to share?
Yeah, James's gym schedule has been really fantastic. The whole family gets involved. And the kids just got bikes, and the kids on the bikes is really great because there is just natural social distancing with that. So they've been at the playground and riding around on their bikes, and it's been really good. And the parks are so empty that we are able to play a little bit of the basketball with I have a little one that needs a lot more attention. But James's schedule has been really fantastic and really helpful.
Oh, good. I'll be sure to share that with them. We're going to have our full school staff meeting later at around 2:00. So I'm excited to see everyone as well. Great. Any other physical activity ideas, things that you find are working?
Well, my name is Maria Pedemonte.
Hi, Maria.
Hi, I'm Shannon Vasquez's mother, and we try to do exercise at home because she's scared to go out. So,
Okay.
but we do exercise at home on the chair, on the stool. We running from the room to the kitchen. We try to do the stairs outside here in my third floor. Is the last floor, nobody walking. So we do stairs, like 12 steps. We do up and down, and we try to eat healthy, and she's concentrated in her homework. I'm glad. Thank you, everybody. All the teachers are there. They give you assignments. It's not a homework. It's assignments for the student do. And she take very seriously. She enter on the room 9:00, and she get out 2:00, 6 hours inside. No phone. I put the phone outside. Promises. Phone outside until she's finished. In the afternoon, she can use the phone. But eating healthy, and that's it. Try to do exercise from home because we are scared, really.
Okay.
To go out.
So I'm going to remind everyone again, I'm going to do these reminders every couple of minutes just because new people are joining or leaving the call, to keep your phone on mute if you're not speaking. And we're just going to do listening until you're ready to contribute. So as you guys know, there's a ton. Maria, do you want to put your phone on mute?
No, I could listen. Or you wanted me?
Right. So there's no background noise. So on the bottom corner, there's a little mute button. So you can still hear me. There we go. Awesome. So there's a ton of free workout apps. I use one called Workout Woman. It does 15-minute little segments, everything from lounges to workouts, programs. You can do abs, etc. It's called Workout Woman, but there's so many of these. There's a lot of trainers now out there. You guys probably have more ideas than I do that are opening up their sessions and making them free that you can follow. 10-minute exercises, 15-minute exercises. So that's awesome. I would really encourage you to make physical exercise a part of every day. It's another way to get endorphins. It's another way to feel good, feel accomplished. So speaking of feeling good, let's just talk about like what your days look like, what's been working, what are some of the struggles with getting routines in place. So for me, if you saw my video from the start of this week, I'm homeschooling my 2 sons that you just met, and it's been really hard, much harder than I anticipated. So I have pretty strict schedules from morning, every hour is chunked out, there's recess and breaks, but they still need a lot of direction because they're only 9 and 6. And so there's questions and they get distracted or they start fighting, and then I'm in the middle of a conference call, and it's been a tough balance for me, but we're trying different things. So as the week evolved, I ended up putting them in 2 separate rooms for portions of the day just to try to create easier dynamics. So I want to hear from you in terms of scheduling. How is it working? What are the struggles? What are things that you feel you can share with others?
One thing we've done is I felt like Juliet is a pretty independent learner, but then I went through her inbox with her and found that she had missed some, like there was part A, part B, and she'd done it and she hadn't submitted it, things that she wasn't really used to doing. So now in the mornings we're kind of going over that with her and seeing what's there, what has to be done. So we're trying to like continue that independence she has, but we do have to be more on top of it than we have been. So that's different for us. And we also have a 6-year-old, and he definitely needs attention. He definitely needs more input from us. And for the little guy, he could take 2 hours doing 1 page of something and be not done. So we definitely have to focus more on limits of, putting a timer for 10 minutes and see how much we can do and all of that. So it's different kids.
Yes. But you mentioned a couple of really key things there that can work. Buying a small timer, having it near their workspace where they can begin to set, whether it's 30 minutes, 45-minute sessions on their own, so you're not managing the time. You also mentioned managing the inbox. That's huge. right? Because they're getting messages from their Google Classroom, they're getting messages from us. And for a sixth grader, specifically more on the elementary level, this is a lot. So they're sort of scheduling their lives, their days, their assignments with your support, but it's still a lot to handle. Anybody else have scheduling or routines in place that you feel are really helpful?
Hi, everybody. I have to say it's been really challenging because I'm pretty much working full time, right? And then I have the two here, my son as well as Lara. And number one, physical fitness has been a challenge because all they want to do is sit inside. And it's not because of fear, it's because they would rather use their time for playing video games when they're on breaks versus doing physical fitness activities. And then, you know, this whole balance of privacy or not privacy, it's my inbox and you don't need to look at it. And I know better and all of this. So I guess it's the teenage kind of, how do I balance, you know, I need to manage some of that time to give them a good structure, but at the same time, they want that independence. So it's definitely been interesting. And, you know, and today's like what, day 12? So it's going to be even more challenging in the next couple of weeks, I feel.
So anybody want to respond to that before I jump in terms of just a response to Malabika, how to support around the use of the day and time to create boundaries and what feels like healthy boundaries? I just noticed that our amazing counselor, Gayatri, just joined us, and she's the, what I believe is the expert in healthy tech boundaries. Gayatri, do you want to pop in on this question? I'm not sure she can hear me. Okay, she'll pop in.
She's on mute. I think she's on mute. Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
So I'm just trying to keep a pulse on trying to understand where our variety of kids are at with this, of course. So I just got off with my 8th grade advisory, which is, of course, a really high impact.
I'm going to remind everyone to mute again if you're not on mute so we can hear. Okay, awesome. Thank you, guys.
You know, 8th grade is a really high impact year, so a really good place to take the pulse. They're not quite high schoolers and kind of in the mode of thinking about totally independent learning, but they're also not needing kind of the hand holding and the babysitting, and they, for the most part, been left to their own supporting themselves in 8th grade. So it's an area, I just want to be honest, where I'm getting the most understanding of what's going on. I've been supporting a lot of 8th graders this week, and there's a range. Some students are saying I'm getting things done till 3 o'clock, but then I hear from teachers like they're not getting things done in a way that's really necessarily driving their learning. They're getting things done in a more perfunctory way just because they like the structure, so they're getting things done. And then there's other students who are telling me they're working really late and really thoroughly and kind of constantly dialoguing about feedback. Again, this is, it's also, I think, a big response to how we're all dealing with this time at large, right? Like some of us, including myself, like feels really grounded by, you know, connecting with a certain kind of work. Some people, I think it's really stressful to focus on more than one thing. In terms of just the suggested schedule that teachers have put forth, they really don't want kids to be working around the clock. I mean, that's the understanding that is overall coming from TYWLS. So again, what that looks like in your family, it's like there's a shortage of technology or a shortage of quiet space. But I guess the sum total of the same amount of hours of the school day, plus or minus like an hour if your kid is in high school, just to stay engaged with their learning at the same level. The way that most of the things are asynchronous, so they're actually able to like find more, like look at the work, develop their own questions, and then find the support. But some kids are saying that, you know, because technology is the only time that they can get space from their kind of family, they're just on the technology all the time, and then they're trying to do the work and then trying to drift into something else and then trying to do the work and drift into something else. With 6th grade and 7th grade families, I would say that, I mean, because there's so many tech safety issues right now, like who can contact people, where you can go online, I mean, I think it's something where, depending on who your child is, of course, it's really different, but some students are going to need constant observation when they're on their technology in 6th and 7th grade. I know that's a lot to ask from families right now, but I think that overall that's the 6th grade kids that I'm talking about, their distractions are so heavy online. So yeah, I mean, it's really varied. I think that we are also just trying to make sure that kids know the expectations while they're same, as in we want to make them fair, we want to make them like rigorous and meaningful, because we don't want them to get disengaged with their learning. They are also, just by nature of our kids and by nature of what our relationships are like, they are also a little customized right now. Some kids really just, even having the 1 week off, they need to spend a couple days just reading to be able to get in the groove of being able to look at these assignments and emails. Some teachers have been spending a lot of time just actually making schedules with kids. So it's really custom. And so what I'd say is, you know your kid and their stakeholders, and I would start with one subject and one stakeholder, and then once you get in the groove of that, kind of like build. I'm telling kids to start with the classes that they feel like they struggle the most in, that they work least like independently in, and focus on that during the day. And obviously they have to look at all their assignments, but I think that knowing themselves and knowing, okay, this is when I go home, I usually avoid my science homework. Okay, so that's the teacher that you're going to need to see that day to make sure that you actually have the extra guidance to support that. So again, I wish I had like a formula that I've been offering. I've been talking to a lot of different kids with like very, very different needs and families with different needs. But yeah, I think that it's really just trying to figure out what's the most high impact, what's most necessary area for your kid.
So thank you, Gayatri. Those were all really significant things to touch upon. When I think about what it's like at TYWLS in the building, we do supervision all day long. So we supervise in the cafeteria. We supervise in every classroom. Our expectation is that teachers are supervising in classrooms on a minute-by-minute basis, everything from the use of cell phones to healthy technology. So I get it, because I am a working mom, and that's really difficult, and my husband and I are tag teaming constantly, but we're also positioning ourselves in a way that they're not separate from us. So I can walk over and see what's happening. My kids are also younger, so they're not on the laptop necessarily all day. But I think this idea of privacy and balance in the day, I'm doing my best to make it feel as routine as possible. We're going to bed at what feels like really close hours that we used to. So by 9 o'clock, we're in bed or close to it. We're waking up at around the same time that we would for the start of our day. I'm starting my day at around 7:30, 8 o'clock, the way I would when I was in the building. And I'm keeping them in those habits and routines. Because if we do the late night movies till 1 o'clock in the morning, then they're not waking up till 1 o'clock. So I really strongly encourage you to keep the rhythm and flow of what felt like a school day going. And that includes breaks, right? And recess and outside time. And it also includes academic free time. So on my kids' schedule, there's chunks of time that says academic choice or free choice for creative play. And they choose different things to make things. They choose art, they choose. So yes, you want to follow what the teachers are prescribing, but this is also a time for kids to have creative play. We want them to have continued enrichment and rigorous instruction, and for that not to fall through, I do believe in setting high expectations and maintaining those. I also recognize that your lives look really different, and that can be really hard both for you and for them. But I do think routines, schedules, day-to-day, breaks, time together. So we'll stop and have lunch together now. We'll play a quick card game during lunch. Does anyone else have any sort of family practices you want to share? Things that has brought you closer together as a family?
I know last night, Jacqueline and I, we were exercising together.
Nice.
So she comes over to me and she said, I want you to be my trainer. And so what she showed me the log that her phys ed teacher gave her to use, and she kept asking me, well, I want you to read it. I want you to read it. And then she was like, I read it. Now I want you to read it so we know what we have to do. So we made sure that we did our yoga together. Then she went on the treadmill and she had to calculate how much time was spent in each exercise. So it was really a lot of fun to do that with her. And I'm looking forward to, once my workday is finished, because my workday ends at 4, you know, that we are going to do that together.
That's awesome. Workouts together, simple, physical, you're getting physical, they are. Anyone else want to share things that's brought you closer together?
So I want to echo on like keeping the schedule. Like we have not changed our schedule. We are still waking up at 6 a.m. and like getting ready, getting dressed. Today is very casual, as you can see. I'm wearing my daughter's hoodie.
I do like your TYWLS hoodie.
We're all kind of wearing some kind of TYWLS
I was
parade.
actually excited for this call because it gave me a reason to blow dry my hair. And,
I've been very lucky, at least in terms of work, where there's a lot of flexibility knowing that there's working parents. So I mean, I'm in meetings back to back, but I drop off 5-10 minutes just to go check in. We are all sitting together as well. So I'm watching them, they're watching me. We're respecting each other's space in terms of like, I'm on a call, so, you know, lower your voice, or, you know, this and that, or come over. And so it's, I know that's maybe that's not the same or a choice for everyone, but keeping the schedule, even if they're not going from class to class like they do in school, they have their alarms that go off, and then they like stand up, they stretch, we have a chat, and then we go back to what we need to focus. We have lunch together. The outside of the routine things at school is we plan what is our lunch menu for the week. You know, so that it's less, it's not so difficult. I'm hungry, what are we going to eat, you know, and we change it up. What are we going to eat for dinner? What are we going to eat for breakfast? And it's, when we first started doing this, it felt very like, why are we doing this? Like, this is silly, but it's been so helpful. So even like little things like that, incorporating them in the planning has been helpful, because then I've noticed that they'll be more proactive about just going and doing the thing that we said we have to do. Okay, we're going to do laundry at on X day at X time. That laundry is already ready and we're doing it together, or we're, you know, helping each other out. So it's not as easy as I'm making it sound, because I get a lot of like, do we have to do this? Why? You know, but once we get through that hump, it feels a little more natural for everyone to get into that. So that's the outside school work stuff that we do.
You touched upon so many great things in there. The co-creating of schedules. So everything we did in our house similarly was co-created with them. What do you want your day to start like? When do you think recess should happen? When should snack happen? What, you know, and the co-creating of things is where it gives them the power of choice. For us, we've also done something that's, because their teachers similarly are sending out what's due for the week. And so we've adjusted the due dates to make everything kind of finish by Thursdays. So Fridays, something called Fun Fridays. So it's more project based. And they pick a project. I set up whether it's like tools or whatever it is, and they either make something, do something. There's still some writing or some whatever it is involved, but Fridays feel more like hands-on, we're doing a thing. That might not be possible, or maybe not for a whole day, because my kids, again, are younger. But maybe you do it for half a day on Fridays. So they have, again, something to look forward to, something that's hands-on, just trying to create spaces in the week that it feels like free play. I noticed that somebody asked about virtual office hours. So this is a good transition for us now to talk about what is TYWLS doing to support during this time. You've gotten all of our color-coded documents and our slides. I want to ask about those Monday slides. Are they working? Do you like it? Is there anything we can improve upon? Those are the Google slides that the girls get on Monday mornings, just kind of setting up the week. Does anyone have any comments on it? Are we all good?
I don't think I saw the slides, so I think I have to get into that on Monday again. So I don't think there was easy access to that. That was emailed out?
Yep, so it's coming from TYWLS News, and it went out to every student and all of you if you're on our distribution list. So I put on my Instagram and on my emails, if you feel like you're not getting any emails, or you're not getting emails from TWLS News specifically, to email armend@twils-astoria.org. All of this is on my Instagram. You can go back and look at it, or on your daughter's emails. They know Armend as well. And just send him your name, your child's name, and your child's grade, and say, please add me to the distribution list, so he can put you appropriately with either middle school or high school families. So Monday mornings, your daughter and you should be receiving slides that say, here's your virtual learning week. Did anyone get that?
Yeah, I just have a question about Armand. Is it possible to add programs remotely if he's alerted? Like, my daughter wants to use Zoom on her school laptop, but it's not on there. So she just hops on my laptop when that happens. Is that something we should email him too?
Hello.
Xavier, this is Juliet's little brother.
Hi. We are, at this point, we're not, we haven't opened up the ability for students to download apps on their own, because it can create a series, an onslaught of other things and privacy concerns and viruses and things like that. I will say with Zoom, this is something that came up with a few other staff members. What we've discovered with it is when you open a link, you can click on the bottom where it says open in web browser, and you don't need the app to open it. So we've tried this out with a few other kids, and they were able to do it on their own laptops. So if you just look at the bottom, anytime she opens up a Zoom screen, it just says open in web browser rather than the app.
I will try that. We did try that because I've been using Zoom for like half of my work meetings. It just did not work for her, but it might be something we can do that. So that's good. So they don't need to have it installed. There is a way around it. Okay, great.
Correct.
Thank you.
But if
Sorry,
you
I didn't mean to derail what you guys are working on.
No, that's good. These are good questions, and that was one that came up for a few people. But if you are feeling like, hey, I need somebody to talk me through Zoom or Google Classroom, Armend would be somebody that you can say, hey, can I set up some time for you to just help me as a parent walk through Google Classroom? Michael Cohen, who's also on here, our assistant principal, is somebody else who, Michael, you're here, yeah? Who would be happy to walk someone through a quick kind of, on the parent side, how do I find things in Classroom, or how do I use Zoom? We're happy to help in that way. So other things that are available to you as families. Our counselors have been tremendous. Gayatri and Miriam have done a really stellar job connecting with all of our high needs students. We're one at a time. Our special ed department is connecting with every special education student to make sure there's a virtual plan in place for them. What is available to all of you and your children is mental health support, which I believe when this entire thing happened and they said we're going to go remote, it's going to be virtual learning, that was my first sort of space of anxiety. I thought about the mental trauma that could come from this, the isolation, all of the things that we know happens for long periods of time without socialization with humans. And so what I find great value in is knowing that we have counselors that are so ready, able, and equipped to support your child just through even a talk, a check-in. And so they are available by appointment all day, every day. They have repeated folks that they meet with. Gayatri, do you want to share a little bit more about how that works for you and Miriam?
The way it's been working is, I was actually heartened to think about the fact that some of our regular adolescent, conflict and concerns are still alive. It means that on some level, like, it's not just things that are really just like the absolute unreasonable expectations of like their situational life right now. It's some of it is just like, on the day before break, like, she walked away from me and we usually all walk home together. And like, I was actually really happy to just still validate that those are the kinds of things that are on their mind in some ways. And then they're now being exacerbated by a lot of the feelings of like loneliness, rejection, conflict, being a nuisance, not being a good enough, like things like that just come up from being in the home. It's already hard to share space with your family when you're an adolescent. So a lot of the themes that are coming up for kids, again, is like, I I like being alone, but then like basically I'm cutting myself off, like disassociating in some ways. How do we keep an emotional life alive at a time like this? The only real place to go is like within. I mean, there's not a lot of like things for them to do with these emotions. So sometimes they're just avoiding feeling them altogether, and technology sort of helps us do that. So we're in a little bit of a situation where that kind of like, if kids aren't used to having any other self-soothing besides technology, we want to actually ironically start now, even though this isn't a time when you can go outside and access all of the different things that you would normally access, even if it's just something like breathing. A lot of kids, I want to let you know, at the middle school level, just because, again, of technology or body, they find out that sometimes mindful breathing or things like meditation can be a little distressing. They can actually up anxiety, which is not uncommon. So one of the things you can do is actually continue to just have them focus on feelings, things like that, but actually overstress their bodies. So tense their bodies, make a fist, grit their teeth, like hold their shoulders tight. And that will actually move them into a natural like relaxation mode, as opposed to trying to tell them, breathe, calm down, breathe, calm down, breathe. Because some of them, that escalates anxiety for them. Anything we're staying with their bodies, no technology, feeling, anything externalizing, crying, tearing up paper, kicking, running, sweating. I know we can't move around a lot, but even in the house, anything that gets things out, because things are all being forced to stay in right now. So these are the kinds of like guided sessions and things like that we're doing together. Also just asking open-ended prompts. What is the thing that you're most worried about right now? Our teacher Diana had a really good one I've rediscovered my love for. One of the ways that I cope is the things within my control are. So I'm gonna do a co-hosted session with one of our students next week, where we do a little bit of a locus of control activity and try to make it kind of a little bit of like a social emotional talk show. She's a compelling student, so my hope is that students will follow her, if not me. So I'm gonna try to make that a weekly basis starting next week, including something to take us into the spring break week. But to speak to what Allison was saying, I think a lot of this is like custom sessions, and I'm happy to do sessions. I'm not a trained family counselor, but I do have, I did do some coursework in running family groups and things like that. And I'm happy if you want to do a session with you and your child at this time. I think it's relevant. And we can just do things like communication strategies, scheduling for family and child, making personal space, how to deal with things like privacy, but also like autonomy. It's just hard, and it's practices that I'm repracticing. I'm living with my mom right now, so it's just like, it never ends. And I think that we should just like, you should feel free to be a little non-traditional. If you want to work with me with your child, that's actually highly appreciated. We're also dealing with a vast amount of like students who are actually already experiencing, different kinds of grief, not being able to see one of their parents, not being able to see a grandparent who's like an active caregiver in their life, just missing friends who have been more active and important in their lives than some of the family members, and family members and kids who are just empaths. And the thing about going to a powerful girls' school is our kids know what's going on. They know, how much salary their parents make. They know what the roles are of their moms and dads, and kids are worried about that stuff. They're telling me about it. They're like, my mom's work depends on this, and this is changing, and I saw this in the news. And I mean, it's really natural. So it's just setting aside, honestly, the first thing is actually permitting that this is an unusual time. What are your unusual fears and worries? And the truth is this stuff is hitting slow. So some of them are going to be like, nothing. I sleep a lot and I get on my computer. What we want to do, even though we think, we're drudging something up, is actually have them engage with feelings. Just be like, do you feel worried? Do you feel sad? Do you feel scared? Those are all just permitted. They're normal, they're healthy. And do you feel excited? And just kind of making space for those things, so that over time, when those things come up, there's already a space for them. So journaling, a lot of kids say, I don't have time to do that because I'm doing this or that. I was like, well, we're in a unprecedented moment in history. And today one of my 8th graders said, like, well, maybe I'll publish a book someday, you know, based on what I was feeling right now. So I don't think those things are out of the realm of possibility. Our TYWLS women are certainly like already talking about like running for office and things like that. So at any rate, I'm available. I've had appointments pretty much like nonstop since the mornings. There are some groups that I'm doing with groups with kids and then families and kids. I do prefer to do them online with counseling. I think, like, even though this isn't the same eye contact, body posture, breathing, I do like to just see and not just do voice. So if we can try to do that. Also, the other thing is all social media platforms. I think that maybe if everybody can set a weekend date, Snapchat is a really, really high risk service. It's just because it has disappearing aspects. I think that unless you really feel comfortable with understanding the interface of that as a parent, which bless you if you do, I don't, that's not a recommended one. I mean, kids can, like, you can blame it on me, like tell them like, guys, you didn't say that you should be on Snapchat.
Gayatri said no more Snapchat.
Yeah, I mean, I tell kids to tell each other that. It's just like, I don't know, Gayatri was annoying. She said I couldn't be on Snapchat. Like, I'm fine with taking the heat for that one. Snapchat is a really high risk one. The other things I would say is Instagram, checking their actual messages on Instagram. Instagram is a wide platform, and Instagram is the #1 place where, like, dating, sometimes predatory stuff comes in, because they know the kids can make an account as early as 13 because it's technically just a photo app, but people can message them from all over. And right now, everybody's home all the time. And then the other thing that's, I think, hard to talk about is that your kids are also adolescents, so they have emerging, some of them, sex and sexuality things going on. Crushes, feelings, all of that. And there's a lot of great New York City actually has just basically a list of public health recommendations around sex and sexuality right now. You know, there's been a surge, of course, sexting, texting, and all of this kind of stuff because people are feeling lonely, isolated, rejected, body kind of stress. So making sure that you have proactive conversations. Don't just assume like, oh, she's not into things like that, you know, like proactive conversations, because maybe it's not about sex or sexuality or crushes or anything like that, but it's just—
give us a couple of like prompts of what a proactive conversation sounds like.
Sure. I mean, I think it's just like, I think always normalizing the weird is always good. So just being like, hey, I know this is hard to talk about or weird to talk about with your family, but a lot of kids around this time are thinking about crushes. Like, make a list. So that way it's like, it's really open. So crushes, sex, sexuality, girlfriends, boyfriends, you know, gender, like just make a list so that there's not like, I'm saying you're doing this. And then first just prompt them to reflect on it for themselves, so that they're not doing it for you, they're not doing it for praise or punishment. Can you reflect on that a little bit? So, you know, again, these are conversations that are really, really, kids are being like, no, I don't know. But I do think there's really, you know, just even knowing that it's something that you know about changes the scene a little bit. That you're in their head next time a text bubble pops up on their phone, even if you haven't actually intervened in any way. And yeah, just thinking about, like, in general, I mean, the #1 rule of thumb is that I always say is that these things should be experienced in real life. So I think, like, for kids right now, they're struggling with saying, like, well, you said that we should always try to talk to the person or know the person first. We can't do that right now. So, I mean, a lot of it is, I mean, again, this comes straight from the New York City health, but it's like healthy ways that kids can, like, understand and take care of their own body or sexuality, like urges or cravings. And again, all families have different experiences with this kind of stuff. It's hard to talk about, but I recommend, and I can send out what New York City sent of, like, because there are actual, of course, health risks right now with kids having, no one should have their first kiss during the next 6 months, right? So we need to know that kids are, we don't think that stuff is weird, that that we just know that these are normal topics and normal things that teens are struggling with, and even having to suffer some repression around at this point. So anyway, I'll try to send out some prompts. And like I said, I thought that when I thought it through, I thought the best method would be to host something with a student on social emotional learning, because they are really sourcing their best needs right now. So that should be up. I'm aiming at Wednesday. So, but Allison and I will talk and figure out the best time when, you know, it's not something that'll go in.
Thank you, Gayatri. And we can do, you know, smaller groups around this. I just put a question prompt on the chat side there that says, what topics or areas of interest would you want us to cover in the future? That should say cover, not over. It's a typo. And in future parent chats, and what could we be doing better as a school community to support you and your child? You know, we're in a feedback culture. We can't get better unless we know what you need. We sent out a school survey that Gayatri helped me to create called a remote learning survey. You know, we only have 20 folks on this call, but ideally I would like to see hundreds of others, because we can't help you if we don't know what you need. But if you are in touch with other friends or family members, or your child is in touch with others, and you know that your daughter says to you, well, my friend says that they don't have food today, I want to trust as our community that you will reach out to us and say, hey, this came up, my child spoke to her friend and they don't have X, Y, or Z. And then we would do our very best to find resources, food, whatever it is that we can, to make sure that everybody has what they need in a really physical way, just to support the basic needs. And then of course, yes, we're doing counseling, and Kathy Garrow, I don't know if you guys have gotten any of her links. She's doing this morning cooking series that she's put on YouTube, how to start your day making breakfast. She's our amazing health teacher and food and sustainability teacher. I'll try to add some of her links to my Monday's email so you can see some of those as well. So it's great that, you know, we want to do all of those things, but we do know in a school of 600 students, there are families that are struggling that maybe for whatever their reasons are not reaching out to us for basic needs, but we're here for that as well.
We'd like, of course, to also really, really encourage families who speak other languages, any other languages, to reach out to fellow community members and families, because sometimes even when we use translation services, even when we employ our most like empathic translators on staff, like sometimes it's just communities and fellow parents are where that information gets passed. So I really, if you have families that you know that prefer to speak about their personal and family and student lives in other languages, please reach out and let us know. That's been a little bit of like something that I feel like I can't do my best at as someone who doesn't like speak Spanish, for example, or Arabic.
Yes.
The platform that you're using for with Google Classroom, are the children being encouraged to use Google Hangouts as well?
Yes.
Because, okay, good. Because I noticed that she's using it, but she's not using it like for classwork per se. It's just, hi, how you doing? Call me, that kind of stuff.
Sorry, let me clarify. Let me make sure I understand your question. Is your question that as a school or with teachers that we're asking them to join Hangouts?
Yeah.
Yes, we're doing that. Some teachers are using Hangouts, some are using Zoom as breakout sessions. But if I heard you correctly, it sounded like she's just chatting with folks. That's where I do believe the balance of supervision has to happen.
Yes.
And that could look like a variety of ways. I don't personally believe that children should be locked away in a room. I do think healthy boundaries are important, but if it means you're doing that, figuring out where technology lives in that equation is an important one.
And I know a lot of our teachers are also, because they know kids need that social aspect, they're setting up like tutoring sessions with like sometimes like pairs of friends or trios, so that the kids can like talk and say hi to each other, and you know, our advisory has that too. And then if they're doing that with their peers without an adult, hey, hi.
You missed the
oh my gosh, you're totally dressed up
this morning, guys.
So I think if they're doing it without any teachers involved, they should probably at least have like one parent rotate through, just like the same if you had kids over to your house, you know.
they're just saying hi. Nothing, you know, I'm doing humanities now.
Yeah,
Things,
I
nothing
think it's totally
outrageous, just a, you know, basic conversation. So I'm
Yeah.
just watching it. I'm just watching it as it things, because I have an app where I could see what she's doing. So
Yeah.
I can see them, the conversations back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's our last 10 minutes, and I know we covered a lot in sharing out. First of all, I want to thank everybody for joining and making time this morning to connect with us and to continue our community. But I also want to make sure that any questions that were lingering for you, we make sure we answer. So I'm looking on the side chat right now. Someone asked about state tests and regions. So at this point, all middle school exams have been canceled for the year. They did not use the word postpone, they used canceled. So we will assume that means through the duration of this school year. As for Regents exams, no information yet has been given about Regents, but a lot of information has been given about AP exams. From the looks of it, most of you here are middle school parents. Is anyone on here that's a high school parent? I think Latish, I'm not sure if she's still on. But if your child is in an AP class, I would encourage them to look at the information we've sent out. On Monday, when we send out the slides for the week, I'm going to also attach a student FAQ and a parent FAQ. So we're trying to, you know, kind of organize all of your big questions and put it into one place. And so you should be getting that by Monday morning, and we'll work on that for you. But for now, there's no information on whether Regents are canceled or not canceled. AP exams are going to be online. They're going to be taken at home. They are adjusted to 45 minutes instead of 3 hours. There will be no multiple choice questions. It's all going to be free response. And AP and College Board is using some pretty significant plagiarism software, so students can't copy and paste from each other as well as from other sources.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing, a lot of 8th graders are asking about the Regents, am I going to pass? I'm going to pass. I mean, I really think that the key with all these test questions is to not at all cancel or not think that we have tests, but also to try to right now keep them focused on a daily schedule and a daily routine. Like their anxiety about, you know, oh my gosh, I don't think I can pass the Regents without having a live teacher ever again. I don't want them to, that's an impossible question for us to really know if that's going to be true. So just keeping them focused on the daily is, I think, important.
So at this point, all teachers should have posted both activities, exercises, work by class, by content. Teachers are also available, and they're doing it in a variety of ways. Some teachers are creating just Zoom spaces throughout the day that after you do your activities, you can come onto the space and ask clarifying questions. Other teachers are doing this where they have something called a Calendly link. If you're familiar with Calendly, it's a website and an app that allows you to create chunks of your day to make available for folks to get on your calendar. So I can say, okay, from 9 to 10:30, I'm available, send the link out to everyone, and now you can click on that link and say, okay, I want 15 minutes with you, Gayatri. I want 15 minutes with you, Ms. Persad. So some teachers are doing Calendly, others are doing Hangout, others are doing Zoom. If your child is struggling in anything, any subject, across the board, they have the opportunity to reach out to that teacher and say, hey, is there a time tomorrow or today that I can connect with you live in person? And so all teachers are creating space within their day where they are available in a live way to interact with a child. It might not be by video, maybe it's by audio, because similar to students, teachers have a little bit of discomfort. Some folks are all video ready, and other folks are like, you know, I'd rather do it in a streaming or an audio space. So we're allowing for comfort and discomfort from both students and staff. But it doesn't mean that they are unavailable to your child. I do want to reiterate that if your child is struggling in any area, the first thing that they should do is reach out to the teacher and say, could you let me know when there's time that I can do a one-to-one or a small group tutoring? I have some questions about X or Y. Anyone have either questions around that or? Okay, so I'm going to continue answering your questions. We have about 5 minutes left. Barbara Jones. Hello, Barbara. I wanted to see your lovely face. We're not seeing you on here. You're here on audio. Will the children pass to the next grade for September? What about prom, graduation? Will it be done in August at least? There's so many questions left unanswered by the chancellor and the mayor. So that's a few questions. Let me start with, will they pass for the next grade? There is no information that shows us at this moment that anyone will be left back or held back, which is why it's so important that your child continues to submit their work, do it on time. Teachers are going to be giving grades, right? They're going to get graded at the end of the year. It is our expectation that all students will be given a grade for this class. That's why we're in this remote space. We're so lucky at TYWLS that we are, you know, one-to-one and everybody has tech. We do feel like we're in a 1% space. Hey, Barbara, there you are. So I don't foresee that being an issue in terms of promotion. Your next question was about prom and graduation. Our heart is breaking for our seniors. I'm actually going to have a call today with my senior team, and we're going to brainstorm all kinds of possibilities to make sure that those lovely girls feel celebrated in whatever way that means, whether it's the summer, whether we come back in the fall, whatever it means, we will make sure that there is some celebration that they deserve. In my 5 years at TYWLS, it's going to be 6 years actually, this senior class has been the most deserving in the way of they've been 100% academically on track. We've had the fewest amount of girls that are struggling to pass Regents exams or pass classes. They've also been the class, again, this is only in the time that I've been there, that's given us the least amount of student-to-student issues and peer relationships and suspensions. They've had the most flourishing record, and my heart breaks even more because they're so deserving. And because of that, as a school and as a team, we will do everything we can to make sure that celebrations will exist in whatever form they will exist. And I'm sure our team will come together in whatever that means for them. And then, yes, there are many questions left unanswered. You know, I want to approach everything with patience and positivity. The same way this is new for us, it's new for the mayor, it's new for the chancellor. Do I wish more from others? Yes. Do I wish we had more answers and things were rolled out in different ways? Absolutely. But I also want to just, going back to Gayatri's point, focus on what I can control in this moment and to make sure that my child, our children, all of our girls at TYWLS have the best support that they can on a day-to-day basis, and allow the other pieces not to take over my fear and worry meter.
I also think it's important that we're not getting any false information, right? So we know that there's like federal information, things like that, that are trying to come up with dates for things that are actually really disconcerting, because we're still, I mean, you guys are in Queens and you've seen that Elmhurst Hospital is like now one of the places that's really being affected in the country. And my hope is also that in the spirit of trying to give people answers, nobody in any form of leadership gives people, you know, information that's just not true. So I think that part of the reason we don't have some of these answers is because we just don't know yet. So,
but what we do know is that we're all doing a really great job. You're doing a great job as parents. I know this is hard. I want to give you guys a major shout out and high five just around the difficulty of parenting at home, homeschooling. Well, almost all of us are working moms at the same time, or dads. And it's really a lift, and it's not an easy lift. I know I'm managing, I'm doing 3 meals a day when I used to do, you know, 3 meals on a Sunday and cook for the week. And now I'm finding myself with my husband, say hi, honey, trying to figure out breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and still do our jobs in the way that I believe is important. So high five to everybody. Shout out to all the moms and dads. You're doing it. We've survived a full week. Actually, today, my kids and I, as part of our project, we're going to bake a 1-week quarantine cake and light candles and blow it out to say, like, we survived the first week. we're all still here. We're alive. We're smiling, and find small ways to celebrate. I'm teaching my kids how to ride their bikes. The first one's got it. The little one hasn't yet. You know, just trying to find small milestones with them. I know another mom shared with me, she's teaching her daughter how to crochet. You know, use this time to maybe learn a skill together, whether it's a musical instrument, start singing, maybe like you mentioned, doing yoga together. You spend the time with them. I read some things online that's like, we may look back at this one day and say, wow, this was the best time I ever had with my kids, right? Because we never get this amount of time with them, especially as working parents. So take all the snuggles and do a lot of hugs, a lot of reassurance, and we're going to get through this together. Did anybody have anything that you can add this to the chat feature in the future if we do these sessions again, things that you definitely want us to cover? Topics or ideas, themes? Okay, we must have done an awesome job. I will let one of you have the last word. Does any parent want to wrap us up and give the final word?
I mean, I wasn't thinking about it as the final word. I just wanted to say thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for hosting this. I love that there's so many other parents, and just sharing, I think even for me, it just gives me some kind of some support. The support is very helpful. So thank you so much.
No,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to all of you for sharing the idea. And I really appreciate it. And these days remind me when I was a little, there was a war in my country and we had to cook early because in the afternoon, I don't want to do anything. I mean, anything besides exercise with my daughter and talk to my daughter and watch a TV, watch a program, or read a book, do something. It's very upset what we're trespassing right now, but we can do it. We pass this bad time, and then we want to go more successful and more strong, very strong. We have to be very strong for this. Thank you so much. Thank you, Persad. Thank you, all of you.
You're welcome, Maria. So nice to see your face.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Okay, well, wash your hands and stay home. Wash your hands and stay home, everybody. A lot of blessings to you and your family. Stay healthy. Use this time to hug and to connect with each other. And we will do one of these again, probably in a month. I will see you in April.
Thank you.
Look out for our invitations. Reach out if you need anything. And we're here for you.
Thank you. Bye.